Hey guys, this is Coach Thurman from USA Prospects. Today I want to make this short video to talk to you about the eligibility requirements for the NCAA and what you must do as a high school student to get yourself available to compete at the NCAA level. First thing I want to talk about is your initial eligibility in terms of dealing with academics, the things you need to do as a high school student to make yourself eligible going into the NCAA. These are your general requirements for Division I and Division II. First off, you must graduate from high school. You must successfully complete all core courses. You need 16 to be able to compete at Division I level, 14 for the Division II level. For both levels, you must have a minimum 2.0 GPA in your core courses. Okay, that does not include all your electives. It's just in your core courses. You must have a minimum qualifying score on the ACT or the SAT. There's a sliding scale for the Division I, and there's a minimum set forth by Division II. For instance, 68 for Division II. So if you're going to play in Division II program, you must make at least a 2.0 GPA, and you must make a total score of 68 on your ACT. What that means is you take the four different aspects of the ACT, and you combine all of those scores together to get that total. Basically, a 68 total equates to a 17 composite. So the minimum that you need for a to be able to play Division II football or baseball or anything is a 2.0 GPA and a 17 ACT score. What are your core courses? You may obtain this list from your high school counselor, or you can also go to a list on the Eligibility Center website. That's www.ncaaclearinghouse.net, or you can just Google Clearinghouse or Eligibility Center. When you get to that page, you go to the prospective student athletes, click on the list of approved core courses, then you'll enter your school's name and the state in the search form and click enter, and it can give you a better update of or an idea of what your core courses are for your area. Like I said, you need 16 of those to be able to play Division I and 14 for Division II. Your core GPA is the Eligibility Center requires that you complete your core courses with a minimum of GPA of 2.0. This is not the same as your overall high school GPA, since your high school GPA includes all the courses you've taken, and the core GPA includes just the core courses. Your core GPA is calculated using only the core courses you have completed that are listed on your high school's list of approved core courses. A lot of you may have like a 2.3, 2.4 overall GPA, but that is not your core because it includes all the extra classes you've taken. As you know, you need far more than 16 or 14 classes or units to graduate, so obviously there are more being counted in your overall GPA than just in your core GPA. I talked to you earlier about the Division I sliding scale. Division II, you must make a 2.0 and a 17 on the ACT. Division I is different. The higher your ACT, the lower your GPA can be, and the higher your GPA, the lower your ACT can be. But it cannot go below, of course, your GPA cannot go below the 2.0. For Division I eligibility, you must obtain a minimum core GPA of 2.0 as well as obtain the corresponding minimum ACT score from the sliding scale. Here is a look at that sliding scale. It really doesn't affect too much as far as the higher level, 3.5 and above. It really doesn't matter because the ACT score is so low that it's very impractical for somebody to have a 3.5, 4.0 GPA and to make that low of an ACT score. Because as you see, this 37, that's actually averaging below a 10 on all aspects of the ACT. It really starts affecting you when you get below a 3.0. As you can see down here at a 2.0, you must have an 86 overall on the ACT. And if you do the math on that and divide it by 4, you get 21.5. So basically, since the ACT does not come into into fractional units, you have to actually round up. So you basically need a 22 on your ACT if you had a 2.0 core GPA. Like I said, the higher you go up, the lower it can be. If we look right here at the 2.175, that's a total score of 80. That would be your 20. So you get a 20 on all aspects. You get a composite of 20. That'll equal up to 80 on your total score. So you need a 2.175 core GPA. So basically, you need to get in touch with your counselor, find out exactly what your core GPA is. Then you can come back and look at a grading sliding scale for your ACT to see what exactly ACT score you're going to need to qualify for Division I athletics. Division II requirements, like I said, minimum 2.0. and a minimum of the ACT of 17. Division III requirements. There are no NCAA requirements for eligibility for Division III athletics. The requirements will, however, be set forth by that school just for admissions. It can vary. It could be very low or very high depending on, and as far as in comparison to your major universities within your state. But that's really the only academic requirements that you'll have to adhere to is what that school expects of you. But as far as the NCAA, they do not require any academic requirements for a student athlete. The NCAA Eligibility Center, it was created to bring an academic and amateurism certification under one roof. Basically, to be eligible to play at the NCAA level, you've got to be academically eligible, and you've got to be an amateur athlete. You cannot be a professional. You could never have been paid. You have to be an amateur. I'd like to, warn against people. I've seen a lot of seniors, their senior year after football season, they'll get involved in these spring semi-pro or semi-professional leagues or whatever you want to call them. I'd be very wary of doing that because, like I said, all it takes is one guy getting paid for it to really kind of cast a shadow over everybody. And, you can get caught up in that and actually lose your amateur status, and therefore you will not be eligible to play at the NCAA level. You have to be an amateur and you have to be academically eligible to play. To play as a freshman at any NCAA Division I or II university, you must register with the Eligibility Center. You must meet all academic and amateurism requirements and be certified by the Eligibility Center. So you must go to the Eligibility Center. You've got to register with them and get into their system before you can ever do anything in terms of moving forward as an athlete on the NCAA level. All right, guys, the next thing I want to talk to you about, once you've went to the Eligibility Center and you've established the fact that you're actually going to be eligible academically and amateur, with amateur status, you need to find out if you're actually good enough to play at the next level. There are thousands upon thousands of high school athletes out there who have dreams of playing at the next level. But just as you probably do not realize that there are roughly 1,000 Division I through Division III colleges that compete at the NCAA level in athletics, just like you don't realize there's that many colleges out there, you don't know who they don't know who you are. There are too many high school athletes out there who are all vying to try to play at the next level and are competing, academically, athletically, to try to get themselves noticed. You've got to find some way to set yourself apart. You've got to find a way to let them know who you are. You cannot just sit back and be an athlete for 3 or 4 months out of the year, playing football or what have you, and think that you're going to get noticed, because chances are you're not. This is becoming such a big business. Football is 12 months out of the year these days. People are working so hard, 7-on-7, team camps. You've got to find a way to get yourself noticed, okay? One way I would suggest, if you have a particular school that you are very interested in, sign up for their summer camp, go down there, get some work in front of their coaches, see if they'll take some interest in you. Another way, guys, you can find a program, a group that puts on camps and combines around the country. One I would suggest is Tag Team Sports right here, Tag Sports with a Z, not an S. They host camps all over the country, Oregon, California, Louisiana, Texas, even Canada. We're hosting one in Shreveport, Louisiana this weekend, the 17th of March, from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a great way to go in a camp atmosphere, get a little coaching, do a little bit of a combine evaluation, the 40, the shuttle, vertical jump, broad jump, bench press, things like that. Get your measurables, get that on paper. Scout.com, Rivals.com covers those events. It's a great way to get your name out there and to get verified. Any high school coach can say, yeah, my kid ran a 4.3. They probably college coaches hear that probably once a week. But for you to go do it at one of these camps and to be verified by a reputable company like this, it really holds a lot more weight as opposed to your coach saying what you can or cannot do. If you decide you want to go to one of these Tag Team Sports, you can go to tagteamsports.com with a Z, not an S. Go down here to their 5-star performance camps, and you can register through there. Like I said, they offer them all over the country. Here's the registration for our Shreveport camp this week. Here's the camp schedule from 7 to 1. You can see there's one-on-ones. There's the combine portion. It's a great opportunity for you, like I said, to get your name out there and to really allow college coaches to find out what you can actually do in a camp environment. Here I want to talk about USA Prospects and what we offer to high school students and high school athletes. We give you an opportunity here to actually, instead of having to worry about college coaches going to a website to find you out, say a Rivals or a Scout.com, and actually looking for your profile on there, we actually give you your own website. And this is a place where all your information can be collected in one spot, to where a college coach can visit your actual website and see all the things they need to see about you. The two options we have what's called a direct URL, which is where, basically it's yourname.com. We find a unique name for you. Obviously not all names are available, but we can tag on, your graduation year or what have you to make sure it's your direct, unique name. And that goes for $100 for a 1-year subscription. The other option we have is what's called an indirect URL, and that's basically where we tag on your name on the end of our website. So it'd be usaprospects.com/Joe Smith, or whoever you are. That's $30 for a 1-year subscription. But like I said, it allows you to people to come in here directly and go straight to your website and get all the information they need. Here's an example of ReaganEdwards.com. He's a quarterback out of Louisiana, sophomore. Coach can come in here and get all his general information, from academics to athletic awards, things like that. Once he gets that general information, he can go to a bio, just basically like a short about me section, just kind of in the athlete's own words, just what his future plans are, things like that. They can go to your video section and see all your highlights. They don't have to be redirected to YouTube. They're all self-contained in your website. They'll play right here in the website, so there's no need for them to go to any place else. It's all right here. There's a reference section. If they want to contact your coaches, maybe your somebody within your church, anybody they want to contact to get some information about you and your character, things like that. There's a media section. If there's any kind of videos from the local news station, they did some kind of video on you or something like that, or if there's any kind of newspaper clippings or articles about you, that can go right here. This is a great way for college coaches to be able to seek you out, instead of you having to worry about sending them email about your different stats and your videos. You don't have to worry about sending videos out. You can just email them, give them the link to your website, and directly they'll be able to come in and basically find out everything they need to know about you in one spot. It's had some great feedback. I've gotten off this kid right here. Several college coaches have been to his page. It's searchable through Google. It's a great resource, and like I said, for $100 for 1 full year, that's really a great price. When you start talking about some of the other higher price, some higher profile recruiting services, you're looking upwards of $1,000 for their minimum package. This here does everything they do plus more, because like I said, you have to actually go to their site and search for this, for this person, as opposed to just go into that website directly. And everything is right here, and it's aesthetically pleasing. It looks good. It's really neat to have that. I would highly suggest maybe looking into this. If nothing else, find some way to get yourself out there. Never sit back and assume that coaches are going to find you, because chances are they're not. You need to find a way to set yourself apart. You need to find a way to get your name and your information out to those coaches any way possible. Okay, guys, continue to work hard in the weight room, work hard in the classroom, do the things you need to do. Do not assume that it's just going to all happen, because it's not. Don't rely on your coaches to do it for you. I'm sure your coaches would do everything they can for you, but you have to understand, most coaches are teachers also, and they have a lot of things on their plate, and a lot of things they have to do on a daily basis. They don't always have time to do these little things for you. Nobody's going to work as hard for you as you will. So you need to go out and do your own work, get your own name out there, work hard, and make this happen for you. Guys, if you have any questions, please contact me at James at usaprospects.com, or you can contact me directly through the Facebook page. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.